Alright, hey guys, welcome back to another Scythe playthrough. So today we're going to be doing our start of the Rise of Fenris. This is the 8-game campaign for Scythe. So this first one's going to probably be a lot because I'm going to be using it to go over a lot of stuff. But as the games progress, we'll sort of pick it up. A couple of things to note: we are not using any of the Wind Gambit, so I'm not using any of the airships. We are using the normal board. However, I do have mixed in the modular board, some of these things from the mod board. And I can't remember if any cards are unlocked through Rise of Fenris and they get mixed in, but if that's the case, they're in here too, just because I happen to have them in, but I don't remember. It's been a long time since I've played. The other thing to note is that we are going to be starting with the easiest AI, and if we end up beating that pretty well, I'll up the difficulty. But we'll kind of see how that goes. So, like I said, this is the Rise of Fenris. This is it's an 8-game campaign. We're going to be doing the first part today. I'll be going over a lot of the changes with the Otama, and then the setup of the game, and then we'll play the game, do any after game things, and then that'll be the playthrough. And then we'll do these. My goal is to get these out before all of this whole campaign before the end of the year. I can't make any promises on that, but I'm going to do my best to get these out fairly regularly so that we have this completed in the next few months. So we'll see. So I chose the factions at random. They are the Nordic kingdoms, the AI is. And so they're going to start with 4 power, 1 combat card, and then of course they by default get the 5 coins, and they start on 10 on their reputation or whatever. I think it's reputation, whatever that track is. We are the Crimean Khanate. We have this ability, coercion, to once per turn we can spend power as if it were a resource, if it were any one resource token. And then our board is innovative. So we're down here. The one thing I want to kind of think about as the game begins is we can, what do we river walk on? We river walk across both this, we river walk to this and to this. No, I'm sorry, we river walk to this and to this. So, we're going to be end up leaving through here. But this here for production, we start with a villager production, and we can move and get production here to get our mechs out. So that's going to be kind of like my main little starting thing there. We have these campaign logs that will be writing stuff down, one for me, one for the AI. So here's mine, here's the AIs. I've scratched off because I don't care about the perks. We'll deal with these here as they come up necessary from the campaign. And the campaign has a ton of background stuff. Oops, I didn't want to flip through all of that. That I'm not going to go over. There's a setup. There's like a background sort of thing that there's a background sort of thing that I'll read, but it's only like a couple sentences. The one major change that's happening with this is that when we place out stars, there may be so basically we'll roll 2 dice. And when then whatever the lowest die is, starting from the left, skipping any spaces that have already been chosen, they will place stars out that way. So that's how we're going to do that. We'll get into all the stuff for the AI when the time comes for other things, but there's plenty of backstory here. So I'm going to skip through all of this. More backstory there. I'm going to skip through all of that. And then welcome to the Rise of Fenris. So we have episode 1, A New Era, March 1921. And the story summary is: in the aftermath of the Great War, the nations of Europa cling to a fragile truce as they continue to rebuild the rebuilding process. Reports of soldiers with glowing eyes are largely ignored as each nation continues to recover both its economy and defensive abilities. Europa is at a crossroads, and its ultimate fate remains undecided. So during setup, we set the game up as normal. But we're not using Wind Gambit, and Wind Gambit, some of them can be used, some of them can't. We're not using it for any. We're going to reveal 1 objective card from the deck and place it next to the Triumph track. So that's what this is. And I'm going to stick it up there. This objective card is going to be mobilize the market, control at least 9 of the same resource at the end of your turn. Okay. So that one's a public one for anybody to get, and one of our stars can go there. And I have to draw my 2. So I've got my 2 there. I don't know how I want this. Okay. It says place 1 influence token, which are the little eyeball, the owl eye tokens over there, on on the 10 spots of the Triumph track. Also place one on the objective card revealed in step 2. And then for this game only, players may use one perk for free. Each perk may only be used once throughout the campaign. Mark your selected perk on your campaign log and immediately gain the benefit. There are 7 perks per player to be selected out through the 8-game campaign. So just to show you guys really quickly, the perks here, they cost us $15 and may be used once during the campaign and during setup. So we get one for free. I could place out this, get this extra worker, which could be good, but I'm going to wait and we'll save them for other stuff because it's just the first game. So there are some special rules. It says whenever you place a star, if you're the first person to place in that category, take the influence token from the Triumph track and place it onto your faction mat. These tokens will be used at the end of the game to determine which path the next episode will take. Both combat victory categories on the Triumph track are available for the same or different players to gain the first to achieve influence token. So there's that. So the episode goals is to earn influence tokens and win the game. And then there's episode rewards, which I'll skip for the moment. Oh, the game immediately ends after the player places the 6th star on the Triumph track. So the AI will skip Triumphs, so they'll by default skip these and earn them like their normal means, but if they get anything else, say these 2 are taken and they roll a 6, it'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This would be one they would normally get, so it'd move over to there. So that's how that works. And the special rules are the extra objective card acts as the first Triumph track space when placing a star. And then the Automa gains influence like we do. When winning combat, the Automa will place it on the Triumph track where if it has a token if possible. And then episode rewards, we'll go over the episode rewards after the game is over. All right, so let's hop into it here. Our 2 objective cards here are Become a Despised Warmonger, have 3 or less popularity and at least 13 power with at least 2 mechs. Okay. And then we have Achieve Tactical Mastery, have 8 or more combat cards in your hand and at least 1 combat star. Okay, so to do those, we'd have to do some stuff over here. So, okay, so we're going to take our first turn. I think I want to get this person here and this my character out. But I do want to do some production. So I think what we're going to do first is we're actually going to go to trade and we're going to spend a money. We start with 5, 3 popularity, and 2 cards. I'm going to spend a money to make 2 of these. And I can't take this action, and that's going to be our turn. So we'll go with the AI. So again, we're playing on easy, so they're going to move a worker, and they're going to move it within the neighborhood of any of their stuff, so they can't cross the river yet, so they've got this space and this space. They'll choose the one close to the base in reading order, and then that'll move it here because it's closer to the factory. They're going to gain 3 power, and then they're going to gain a star, or no, they're going to move on the star track. So boom, and that is their turn. Okay, so I think we're definitely going to want to move. So we're going to move, and I'm going to move over 1 space here and move this person up. We can't take this action down here, so our turn is over. So if they were this faction, they would take this. Otherwise, they're going to move their character to either the factory or one of these tokens, encounter tokens. So they're going to move their character here and just remove this from the game. They're going to gain a coin. And then they're going to gain a star. Okay. So then we are going to produce. We're going to produce on 2 hexes. So we're going to produce here and here. Here's going to get us one of these. Here's going to get us another meeple right there. Then we're going to take this action here to spend 3 steel to gain a mech and a coin. And the mech we're going to take is our Riverwalk mech, and we're going to place that mech there. So this will be able to take us out like so. And that is our go. They would move to the factory or to an encounter text. Since they can't do that, they're going to move their character So they would move into the. They're not going to really move their character because this character cannot move. This is the closest space to the factory, so they're not going to move. Basically, they're going to gain a person. They're going to get a combat card. Oops, I didn't even see that. I didn't look at it. And then if we had the enlist ability, we would get the combat card too, and then this will move over. Actually, let me just give him a different one entirely. Okay. All right. So we've got our first mech. We can get out of here, but I still want to be able to kind of get some stuff going here. So I think maybe we are going to... We're going to move, and I think we're going to go this way. We're going to move this person here and move this here. That's going to get us an encounter token. The encounter card says, so this would be, keep this card without reading it aloud if you choose this option. At the end of the game, for each farm you control, gain $3. Or we can buy this... this man's fancy mechanical legs, pay $3 to keep this card. You may discard it any time to immediately take another turn, or steal its stilts, pay 2 popularity to keep this card. The character has range 1. Okay, farms we control. Let's keep it for the farms. So we'll keep this for the end of the game. So you got to think about farms. And then we're not going to be able to take this action. So then it's the AI's turn. They're going to move a mech. They have no mech to move. So they're going to move a character, their person. They're going to move it there because they're not going to move it into a space that has another Automa worker. They're going to gain a mech. They're going to gain 2 power, and they're going to move on here. So after the next turn, if they get a star, they're going to be able to start moving out of the space there. So I think... Let's go ahead. I can't do that yet. Okay, let's think about this. So I want to be able to get some stuff produced. Maybe I shouldn't have taken him out. Maybe I should have left him here. And just move my mech out. You know what? I'm going to do a small mulligan here. We're going to undo this movement. And we're going to move this here, but then we're going to move this character here. That's what we're going to do instead. Then we're going to produce. So this will come here. And then we're going to produce 2 steel. No, sorry. Wrong thing. We're going to trade. We're going to produce the steel and an oil. And then we're not going to be able to take this action, and then our turn's over. So that's what we're going to do instead. Okay, they're going to move one of their characters, one of their meeples. Again, they can't move out of the river. They can't river walk yet, so they're not going to move any of them, unfortunately. They're going to get 2 power, and then they're going to move on here, and then going forward, they will be able to river walk. Now we're going to produce, and we're going to produce here, and then do our 2 steel. This is what I meant. This is what I should have done the first time. And then from here, we're going to pay the 3 steel for a mech and get a coin. So we have our 1 mech here. You may move from a territory or home base to any inactive faction's home base, or your own home base. Before combat, steal 1 combat card from the opponent. And then speed, you get 1 movement. So I'm going to take the movement hex, the movement 1, and we're going to go there with this one. And that is our go. All right, let's see what the AI does. So they're going to move towards the factory or an encounter token. They're going to go for the encounter token in the neighborhood, so they go for that one. Then if they were the green faction, they would do a worker, but they're not. So they're going to do a worker and a coin. There we go. Okay. So I think now we can start moving stuff around. So I'll get an extra movement. So let's go ahead and do that. We're going to move. And I think I want to do... This moves here. And I'm not going to move any... I'm going to leave... Actually, I'm going to leave them there. Excuse me. And... I think I'm going to leave them with them for now. And then we're going to move this out and move twice. And then from here, I can't take this action because I have no food. Okay, so because we're playing on the easiest AI, easiest turn, they're going to skip their turn. Which, that is right, isn't it? They just completely skipped their turn. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what happens. Oh yeah, yeah. They skip the first. If skips if the first symbol is that X, so they're gonna skip their turn. Okay, that's nice because we'll be able to get here soon. Okay. I need to control farms. If I produce, I can produce. I can trade, and then I can get 2 more barrels, and then get 3 barrels to upgrade this to make that a little bit better. So I think we'll do that. So we're gonna go here. We'll spend a coin to get 2 oil. And then spend 3 oil to take the cube from here and place it there. So now our mechs are going to cost us only 2 metal to make. And we get 3 coins for that. Nice. Okay, if they're the blue faction, they're going to move one of their workers. So they're going to move this in the neighborhood of another one with the most. That's not next to a combat unit. So this is next to 1, this is next to 1, this is next to 3. So they're going to go, and this is next to 2, so they're going to move this here. They're going to get a worker and a power, and they're going to move on this track. Okay, we got to get up some popularity if we can. I forgot I can spend power. I remember I have to spend power. I can spend power for resources. So if I were to produce now, I can make 2 oil, but I think I'm going to move first. I think we're going to move. We're going to take these and move this here. And then I think as my second movement with this mech, I'm going to move it here because I get the +1 movement there. This, I'm going to leave. Do I want the barrels? We're going to move these 2 here and move this here. And then this is going to go here for one of these. So we have this now. So we have the option to pay 2 coins to build a mech. And get a power and move one unit twice. We can pay 2 different resources to gain an upgrade or get an enlist bonus. And then this lets us pay a combat card for a worker and 2 coins. So I don't think I want this one. So it's going to be between these 2. Do I want to pay the coins for the mech? I've already feel like I've got a mech setup going, so I feel like that's not really worth it. So I think we're going to go with this one instead. So this is the card. This is going to be our extra thing to place our thing at. So we would spend 2 workers or 2 resources of different types to either enlist or upgrade. I think that's what we're going to do for that. So that's going to be our go. They're going to, what is this one? They're going to attack, move versus worker. So they're going to select the Otama's closest, a combat unit closest to Otama's base, and then in the neighborhood of any Otama unit. That contains an enemy worker. So in the neighborhood of any Otama unit, in the neighborhood of any of Otama's base, contains an enemy worker, no enemy combat unit. So those are valid hexes. So there's no combat unit. So pick pick up to the selected combat unit, choose a destination hex, most resources, close to the factory in order. So I'm going to take this. It's going to go to, so valid hexes are in the neighborhood of any Otama unit, in the neighborhood of the Otama's base, contains an enemy worker, no enemy combat unit. So it's going to be here, because these are 2 closest to the factory, and then a reading order is going to break ties, so it's going to place it there. Then it's going to put a worker out, and then it's going to move with star. Okay. All right. Man, that's like really tricky. So okay. Oh, it says in the neighborhood of any Otama unit, in the neighborhood of the Otama's base, containing an enemy worker, no enemy combat unit. So it can't be a unit with a combat unit, but it can be a thing that contains no enemy combat unit. And then, yeah, so I think we're good. Or are all of these valid? Valid hex is in the neighborhood of any Otama unit or in the neighborhood of the Otama's base. Contains an enemy worker. Okay, so actually it won't do that because it doesn't contain those things. So it's going to move one of its workers. Because it has, I think a valid hex has to have all those caveats. Or have all those stipulations. Yeah, so that's going to, so instead it's going to do this. And place this out in the neighborhood of the most. And so this will be 1, this will be 2. It won't go here because it's a combat unit. It won't go here. It could go here, but that's 1. It can go here, but that's 2. So it's going to read order, it's going to break ties, and it's going to go there. Okay. I don't know why that's so tricky for me sometimes. Okay. So, have at least okay. Yeah, I don't know we're going to complete either of these. What's this one again? Control at least 9 tokens of the same resource. That'd be like a lot of hoarding. I have no resources to get. If we go here, we have to spend a power, but we can get some extra stuff. So I think we'll go here. We'll spend the power. We'll produce on 2 hexes, so we'll produce 2 folks here and 2 steel. And then we'll pay 2 steel to put out a mech. We'll put out our Wayfarer mech, which will let us move from a territory or home base to any inactive faction's home base or your own base. We'll put that mech there, get ourselves a coin. And then when we produce again, or we don't even have, when we make our last mech, we'll be able to do that. And then I think I need to be very smart about my production, so I may end up moving all these guys here to make a bunch of food, and then trying to maybe, I don't know. We have this too, I have to remember. Okay. So the blue faction, they will move one of their people here next to the most Otama units. So 2, 1, 1, 2, but won't go there, won't go there, won't go there, won't go there. So this is 2, this is 2, this is 1, 2, 3 away, this is 1, 2, 3, 4 away, so they'll go there. They'll gain 4 power, and they'll move their star. This immediately gets them this. Let me take that. Okay, they're on the board. Lovely. All right. Let's see. I think the upgrades are enticing, but I have to do it 6 times, which could be rough. If I could get the upgrades on this, that would be really nice. I need to control farms at the end of the game for the money, so I've got to keep that in mind as well. So let's go here. We'll move 3 things. We'll move... Let's see. My Riverwalk moves me to fields, or like to farms into like oil places. I wonder what the best place to go is. Because I'm gonna take these guys here. Actually, let me do this. I'm going to come in here and then move back with 2. This one is going to move... I got nobody with him. So maybe I go 1, and then I'll go travel to here for my second movement. And I can move somebody else. I want my steel to be made here still when I produce. I think I'm just going to move this one. No, I'm going to... do I want to leave that there? I'm actually going to move this here. And leave it there. And then we have no food, so we're not going to do anything with that. AIs go. They're going to skip their turn. If I don't win this game, I'm going to be embarrassed. Okay. So if we produce, we can pick 2 hexes. I have to lose a popularity and a power to produce, but I can get the rest of my workers out, and that'll get me a star. I can also use it to get this, and then get my last mech out, which will be another star. So I think we're going to go ahead and do that. So we're going to lose a power. We're going to lose a popularity. That's going to let us produce on 2 hexes. We're going to produce on this hex for the 2 people. And then we're going to produce on this hex for the 2 steel. And then we're going to spend the 2 steel for our last mech. That mech is going to go here. And then we're going to get a coin. And then we got all of our people and we got all of our mechs. So that is going to be 2 deals right there. Okay, nice. Okay, they're going to move towards the... they're going to move here. because for this, a valid hex would be in the neighborhood of any autonomy units, the factory, or a hex with an encounter token. They're going to gain 3 power. They don't get anything for that because they're at max power, and they're going to get a coin. And then if I had the enlisting, I would enlist, and then they do not move their star. Okay, so I think I need to get everybody here, and if I can produce a bunch of food, that'll help me enlist, but this is also going to help me enlist, so I probably just need a bunch of different resources. So maybe I need to move all of my folks here, and if I produce here, I can get a bunch of oil to upgrade. But this lets me upgrade too, so I just need to probably diversify my particular things. But if I trade, this is just going to end up getting me like it's going to, I don't have a way to make this cheaper, so this is always going to be expensive. So I may need to produce a ton of oil and then just trade off and on with other stuff. And if I trade, I can maybe take my next turn to do an upgrade or to do an enlist and then make that a bit easier for myself. I don't know if I want to start attacking. I mean, I don't really want to attack anybody because I have no combat cards and I have no power. Okay, we're producing. We're in production right now, so I'm going to move. And I need to control farms. So we're going to move a unit, this unit 1, 2 to control this farm. We're going to move everybody from here to here. And I'm going to move this from here to here, because that's my second movement. My first movement went from there and then to there. And then my third movement will be to move everybody from here to there. Nope, I lied. We're going to move everybody. We're going to go here and then here. Okay. So that's my movement. I can't take this. Our turn is done. The AI is going to move a mech. They're going to move the mech in the neighborhood of any automa unit with no enemy unit and then no combat unit. Shortest distance from an enemy combat unit. So they're going to go 1. This would be a valid hex. 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 They're going to choose the one closest to the factory. Boom. They're going to gain a worker, and they're going to gain a money, and they're going to move their star. Okay, they're about to get another star, and then I'll show you the dice rolling piece to that. Okay. So I need 9 of one resource at the end of my turn. I can go here and get 2, but I won't be able to do this. Unless I produce here and here for 7 or for 6, and that's 2, so that's still not 9. That's going to get me 5, and that's going to get me 2 of these. I really want to upgrade to get this off. So let's go ahead, when we're going to produce, we're going to spend a power, a popularity, and a coin. We're going to produce on 2 hexes. We're going to produce on this hex. So there's 5 food, and then we're going to produce on this hex for 2 wood. And then I don't have this ability, but that ends our turn. They're going to skip their turn. Oh, thank goodness. Okay. We are going to... I need 9 of a thing. I think we're going to do this. I think we're going to go here. We're going to pay 2 resources of different types. So these 2 get paid to either enlist or upgrade. We're going to upgrade. I'm going to move this off of here to place it. Oh, I don't really love that. I need to get a bunch of my folks on oil. We'll place it here. And then we can move somebody twice. And plus an extra movement here. Again, I don't really super love this. I'm gonna move him. I don't know that I want that smoke. We're gonna go here. No, because that just says how many combat cards I can play. So I may want to just hang out there just to hang out there. So if I move this guy away, I can move him. Oh, man. I need to remember for structures too, so I need more, like I need to do that for building these structures out to get some points for those, at least a couple points. So who do I want to move? Do I want to move anybody? Maybe I don't. Because I've got no fight in me. I'm not trying to... I'm all smoke right now. If I produce again, I get my 9. That's another star, which is great. But I do feel like I may not care about that and try to like go up in this track and do this. And so if I'm going to do that, I'm actually going to move all my folks here. And then when we produce, I'll get a ton of oil. Okay. And that's all I'm going to do. All right. They're going to move this into the neighborhood of the most units. This is in the neighborhood of the most units. Right? In the neighborhood of any Otama unit. Yeah, in the neighborhood of the most units. This is the neighborhood of 4 units. This is the neighborhood of... That won't go there. They won't go there. Yeah, this is the neighborhood of the most units. Then they're going to gain a coin, which puts them at a 10. If I can pick this up. And they're going to gain a star. So this way they're going to do this. They're going to roll these dice. They're both 3. So they're going to go to the third one. I don't think anything cares about them being different. So 1, 2, it skips over this. So 1, 2, 3, they take that. Get this. We shuffle their deck and upgrade their stuff. Okay. We'll go here. I don't want to move anybody, so we'll get a coin. And then we'll take this pay 2 food to enlist. And we're going to enlist... here. Place that there, and we'll bump up 2 on that. Because I want to get that up as high as I can go. Okay, here they're going to move one of their folks. Their workers. The worker moves... the closest to the Otama's base in reading order, so this one. And then it's going to move, this is 2 Otama units, this is 1 Otama unit, this is next to an enemy unit, so it's not going to move there. It's not going to move there. It's not going to move there. So this is still, this hex is still a valid hex, so it's going to stay there. Then it's going to gain a card and deploy a mech. And then if we had enlisted for coins, we would get a coin, and then it's going to move its star in there. Okay. So... I need to control farms. That's the other thing I remember at the end of the game. I need to control farms. Okay, we're going to produce. I'm going to spend this, and a coin. We're going to get 5 barrels of oil. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And 2 wood. And then I'm not taking this action. Our turn is over. They're going to move a mech. They're going to move it. They're going to move their mech in the neighborhood of any Otama unit. Shortest distance to an enemy combat unit and closest to the base, which will be there. They're going to get 2 power, which they can't, and then they're going to deploy another mech. And then I would get power if I enlisted, but I didn't, and then they're going to move their star. We're going to go here. I'm going to spend a coin. We're going to bump up on this track twice. instead of taking that. And then we're going to do the 3 barrels to get 3 coins. And upgrade, we're going to upgrade this to here. That's our go. They're going to skip their turn. Okay. I'll take it. We're going to go here, gain 2 coins instead of moving, because I don't really need to move yet. And then we're going to spend 1 to enlist again. We're going to use this one, and we're going to go there for 2 power. That's our go. They're going to move a combat unit next to a AI unit, or a non-combat, one of my workers. However, they're not in the neighborhood. There's not a neighborhood that they're in next to a worker of mine, so they're going to skip that and move one of their workers, which their workers, this is the best, like this will be the worker they move, but it's the one with the most stuff, so they're not going to really move. They're going to gain 3 power and a coin. And then we don't have, oh yeah, we do have this enlistment bonus. So we're going to get a combat card. There's a 3 value one. Okay. And then they're going to move across. Okay. I think what I want to do is go here to pay the coin. We're going to go up 2 on this track. And then we're going to use our ability to spend a power. No, I'm sorry. To spend a combat card as a resource. So we're going to spend this combat card as a resource. So that's going to be 3 barrels. It's going to get us 3 coins and another upgrade. And we're going to take the upgrade from here. Place that here. And that's our go. When we enlist, we don't get this for taking the bottom action, do we? Enlisting only counts for whenever the other person takes it. Is that right? I never enlist, so I never remember. Pay the cost to move any recruit token and then gain the one-time bonus thereafter. Whenever you or a player on either side takes the bottom row action associated with that ongoing, you gain the bonus. Okay, so we do get that bonus. So I would have gotten a combat card. No, that enlistment moved it off. So that was the enlistment to move that off. Do you get it the same turn you move it? I don't know if you do or not. I don't think you do. Okay, that's fine. The blue faction, they're going to move one of their workers. Again, they're not really going to move them. They would move this to one of the spots with the thing. And then if they don't do that, they're going to move this somewhere. So they would move a worker, but they can move the worker, it's just not going to go anywhere. So I guess that still counts because it's still a valid movement. So yeah, so I guess they would take this and move this here. It's not really going anywhere. They're going to gain 3 power and a worker. And then I'm going to get a combat card for the enlistment bonus. They're going to get this. So another combat card here. Okay. So, let's see where we want to go. I'm going to go back to here. We're going to gain 2 coins. And then I'm going to pay this to enlist again. We'll take, and then I'll get a combat card, but we'll take this one and place it here for the 2 combat cards. This will give me some flexibility for some resources. Plus, if we fight, we have some stuff. I get another combat card. Ooh, 3 4s. Okay, cool. That's our go. They're going to move a mech. They're going to move the mech either here or here, and then this breaks reading order. Yeah, in the neighborhood of any mech, no enemy unit, no atomic unit, combat unit, they're going to gain power and get a worker, which they don't get, and then I get a combat card, and then they get a star. Another 4. Okay, so then for the star, we're going to roll. It's 5. So they'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That gets skipped. They take this one. which is a huge bummer because I mean, I can get that one, but they got the token before me, which I'm not super pleased about. And they got the enlistment one. So I might be able to get my upgrades. I have 2 upgrades left to get out. But I don't have any of the barrels for it. And my cards down here have 8 or more combat cards in your hand and at least 1 combat victory. Well, I'm getting a ton of combat cards, so maybe I do want to try to do that. So maybe we'll press it a little bit and try to fight somebody. But I have no power, so that's my other kind of problem. So we'll go here. We'll spend a coin to gain 2 power. And then we'll spend 3 wood that we have to build out a structure. We're going to build out this. Yeah, we'll build this one out. We'll build it here. And that'll be our go. They're going to move either to the base or to a token there. They're going to take that. They're going to gain a worker and 2 money. And they're going to move their star. No enlistment bonus. Oh, I would have done this. So, oh yeah, I get my 2 money and I get this. Let me go up on that track. All right, let's do a little bit of consolidation here. This is 5, 10. Okay. So as we start approaching the end of the game, like maybe if they get another star out, we'll start trying to spread out and get some of our folks to these farms so I can maximize that as best as possible. I need a combat victory, but I don't have a lot of power, so I need to end up probably hedging my bets a little bit, or like I need to probably end up boosting up on this. Or if I go after one of his units, like say we go to this unit, they're only going to be able to spend 1 card with a maximum of 7. So their top theoretical limit is going to be 12. And then ours can be 2 cards plus our power. So we use all our power for 5 plus our cards would be 6, 7, 8. We could get to 12 as well, and since we're attacking, we could win. So that's a possibility. So that might be the play to take those out, I think, if we want to take that movement action. I don't have any more of this stuff, so I don't know that I want to do that quite yet. But we could go here. Maybe we produce. Let's produce. So we're going to spend a power. So actually now I've put myself down a little bit. And a coin. And we'll produce on 3 hexes. So we have a bunch of oil again. We have 2 wood. And we have a food. Which we just need 1 more for the last enlistment actions. Or last enlistment bonus. Or enlistment, so that's fine. And then we're not going to take the bottom action. So he's going to move a worker in the neighborhood of the most units. This one wasn't count because I have an enemy there. He can't do. This is 1. This is 1. He can't do here. He can't do here. This is 2. So he's going to go there. He's going to gain 4 power, and then I would gain a bonus on this because of my thing, and then he moves his star over. Okay, so we're approaching the end of the game here, and I think I want to. I've got 2 wood. If I go here, I can boost up a little bit more into the next tier. I'll gain a power. I can do my upgrade bonus to move one of these down here, and then I can do on my next turn to build out another thing. But I need to be in a spot so that it's adjacent to either a forest or one of these areas. Although I guess this counts for. This is adjacent to this and this. I guess does it count for both? I guess I don't really remember. Do they count for multiples? The scoring at the end, scoring categories. Gain scores based on the number of structure bonuses you achieve. Is there something about the structure bonuses in here? Like if you can only score per 1 structure deal. Oh, darn it. Okay, hold on. Because if that counts as 2, that already gets me what I need it to be. But it says per 1 next to those things. Number of tunnels adjacent to your structures. Only count each tunnel once. Number of farms and tundras next to your structures. Number of tunnels next to your structures. A mine does not count as a tunnel for this purpose. At the end of the game, players will gain coins for achieving goals shown on the structure bonus, which are randomly selected during setup. You may gain this bonus if you don't control the territory. This bonus represents how property value is strength in your deal. So, if we place this... I can place it like that. Does this count for both? Yes, because I think it's next to multiple. I think it should count... Number of farms and tundras within your with your structures on them. Oh, it's on them. Okay, duh. So it's on a forest, so it's fine. Okay, on them. That's the arrow, the doi. So I just need to move over and then place one here. So yeah, we're fine. That's fine. Okay. So I need to move first in order to do that. But I'll need to do something before I move. Oh, I do have a food, though, so we can do this. We can do our last enlistment action. So we're going to go here. We are going to move. I'm going to move... Okay, so we're going to take this and move one guy here. Boom. Right? So we've done that with our wood. We're going to take our mech. What is my river walk again? Farms and oil area. Because what I need to do is get somebody over here. So I think what I'll do is I'll move this person here and then move back as my second thing, because I get the 2 movements out of everybody. And then my last thing is I'll just move a worker over here like that. And then we're going to take our action here for enlisting. So we're going to take this last thing here. We're going to place this here for 2 money plus get a combat card. That's a 4 again. Man. Let's go swap that out for a 5. Okay. And then that's the last one of those, so I'll get this. Then we'll end our go. They're going to skip their turn. Okay, nice. That works for us. All right, we are going to... I need to attack somebody, I think. But I need to upgrade first. We're going to go here. We'll spend the money. And do I want 2 resources or do I want to... I'm going to bump up 2 on this. So 1, 2. We're going to gain a power. Then we're going to spend 3 of our barrels to do an upgrade and get 3 coins. We'll take this. Place that there. We got our 3 coins. And then we get another power. Okay. Okay, so if... What does this symbol do again? They have at least 1 power. They're going to attack us. So closest to the Otama's base. They're going to take the unit close to the Otama's base. 1, 2, 1, 2. So reading where it breaks ties. Then they're going to... so they're going to take this deal. Go here. They're going to get their coin. I'm going to get a combat card. They're not moving the star, and then we're going to do combat. Oh, and I got a 5. Okay. So for combat, you know what? I'm spending all of this and my 5 for 12. We're going to flip this card over. It's going to say what they're going to spend. They're going to, if they have, they're going to spend 7. So they're going to go from here down to here, because based on that, and then they're not going to do any. They're not going to do any combat cards, right? Check the Otama's power range, determine the Otama's power, reveal combat cards. If the Otama's less, retreat it to its mat. So it loses the battle. We get a star. This gets discarded. They get a card. And then we look here for this, but because we fought here, there's no resources. And then this gets discarded. Okay, cool. Well, that makes me feel good. If I can get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, if I get 2 combat cards, I can achieve my other thing, because I have to have 8 combat cards and at least 1 combat victory. So we could actually achieve that with that at some point. So I've controlled 2 farms currently. I need to get to another farm. I need to take somebody through this tunnel and go to those farms. Okay. So why don't we do this for right now? Why don't we move? I don't have food to do enlist. I don't need to enlist. Let's go here. We'll spend 2 resources of different types. So we'll spend these 2. To either upgrade or enlist, we'll upgrade. That's going to take this, put this here. Then we'll move 1 unit 2 different times. We'll move this unit once, twice, a 3rd time, because we get the extra movement with this. So that was tunnel to here, to here, to here. Then we get a star for getting out all of our upgrades. For that. And that'll be our turn. Okay, they're going to move to a token that they're adjacent to, or the factory. They can't do that, so then they're going to move their character, and they're going to move it into the neighborhood of one of their units, closest to here. Reading order is going to break ties. It'll be this one. They're going to gain a combat card and 2 coins. I'm going to gain a coin, and then they're going to move their star, which will get them another one of these. Oh, they would have taken this to begin with, so they took this a while ago. So I'll just give it to I'll just give them this now, because they should have taken that, like, that should have counted as number 1 on the track. No, that counts as number 1 on the track, right? I don't know if it's the first one or it counts as number 1. What was it again? It says... Oh, that's the wrong episode. The objective acts as the first triumph track space when counting. No, it counts as the first triumph track space. Okay. So let's roll. Okay, so 6, which will be... it skips over this one, so I guess it takes this one, because that's the farthest one down, because it'll skip over this one. So yeah. Okay. Okay, can we get our last star out and just end the game right now? What are our avenues for our last star? We can complete our deal. We could do combat, or we can get out of house. I do need to get a house out, but it's not going to be enough to get the star. I have 2, 4, 6. Okay, we can do this. We're going to go here. We're going to spend our coin. So this is our card. We're going to get 2 combat cards. Then we're going to, so that was this action. We're going to spend the wood that we have to build a structure out. And we'll build that structure here and get ourselves 2 coins. And a movement on that. And then now we are going to do our this card here. So it says, if you have 8 or more combat cards in hand, at least 1 combat victory. So we're going to take this, put that there, and we have ended the game, because that should be 1 combat victory. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Perfect. All right. So that's the game. So let's count up the total victory points here. So we'll do the AIs. They're going to score for... So they can, the hexes they control. So hexes they control, or no, stars, they're going to get 16. Here, hexes they control, they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 hexes they control, so that's 33. What's the other thing they score for? I feel like there's something else that I'm missing. Nope, that's it. Okay. We will score for our stars. So we get 4 times 6, so 24. Let's consolidate their stuff. There's 20, 40, 60, 65. We have 20. So that was 24 we just got. Then we're going to score for our hexes we control. We control 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Because this counts as 3. Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 13. 13 times 3 is 39. It's 40 minus 1. Then we're going to count for every 2 resources we have. We don't have 2 resources. We get 0 for that. Then we're going to score here. We get 4 points because we've got structures on forests and, I guess, mines. So that's 4 points there. Trade that out for this. We do get to do this, which is going to be at the end of the game for each full farm you control, gain 3 money. We control 1, 2, 3, 4 farms. That's 12 money. And then I think that's it, right? Okay, so at the end of the game, we have, let's consolidate. Oh, we just blew them out of the water. Holy cow, we completely blew them out of the water. 101 to their 65. So we're definitely going to up the difficulty for next game. Okay, so we won. So it says episode rewards. Record the... So the Otama gains 1 influence per the normal rules and votes based on the number of influence tokens it has. Hold on, let's read the episode rewards. So record the victory if you won stars, coins, your final score, and your campaign log. So let's go over campaign log stuff. So here's our campaign log. We never really fought, so where's my pen? I lost a pen. Oh, here it is. Okay. So campaign log. So we got the victory here. Check the box for each victory. I'll just put a minus because they did not get it for this one. So record your victory if you won. Your stars. So this triumph log here are the stars I got. So first off, I got this one. I got this one. I got this one, this one, this one, and this one. At the end of the game, or if we get all a row or all a column, we get 25 money. So the bonuses for completing rows and columns on the Triumph track are added to the final score for determining the winner after the final game. They have no other functions in the campaign. Then our total, our coins on our campaign log is 101. Stars earned from the revealed objective can be used for any of the categories, so I didn't get that one. Give each player 1 influence token in addition to any earned by placing stars in the game. If there's not enough remaining, for the high, so everybody gets one more influence token. So I get an influence token, he gets an influence token. Players now use their influence tokens to vote on the course of the next episode to the factions of Europa to seek war or peace. If you want the next game to focus on combat and interaction, vote for war. If you want the next game to focus on engine building and infrastructure, vote for peace. You may have tokens in each hand. All players decide secretly and reveal simultaneously. If the majority of tokens indicate a preference for war, proceed to 2A. If the majority are for peace, if it's a tie. If there's a tie, the player who won episode 1 decides either war or peace. Return all influence to the general supply. There are no further things. So I want peace because I want an engine build. I don't really like the conflict aspect, even though my faction is pretty combat heavy. We're going to vote for peace. So then the rewards for the AI, they get an influence token. If it has an even number of tokens, it uses them all for war. If it has an odd number, otherwise, it votes for peace. So we go to episode 2B. So we're going to go to episode 2B as the next thing. So that'll be it. So let's fill out their thing real quick. So they did lose. Their wealth is going to be 65. And this will be an ongoing thing as the game progresses. Then their triumph log. So let's go back to their triumph log real quick. Let's go back to their triumph log because this is a little tricky. Okay, so their log, it says the Automa records its stars on Triumph's log in the same way you do. So it's going to get 1 for here, 1 for here, 1 for here, and 1 for here. When the Automa has gained a Triumph log, it will mark it on the thing. When it gains one of these, it marks it on the one in the column in which it has the most check marks but isn't completely full. In some episodes, players may get to pick some. Okay, we'll worry about that later. Okay, I think that's it. Yeah, I think that's it. I think we're done. So the way the wealth works, and we'll just kind of touch on this before we end it because we're already at an hour. If I understand the way wealth works, if I remember correctly, we just kind of keep it. Okay, so after gaining coins in at the end game score, although wealth carries over from game to game, it is a global resource rather than an in-game resource. So you will only start each episode with the coins listed on your player mat, plus any setup bonuses when you spend wealth across the total campaigns. So then for each episode, there are outcomes and reward sections. Do not read the sections till the episode ends. Okay. And then I think the very end, because we spend our wealth for stuff later on, which I guess we'll get to when that time comes. So that's it. We won the first one. We won by quite a bit. So we're going to go ahead and up the difficulty of the next one to normal and kind of see how things go. We kind of blew them out of the water in that game. So yeah, so that's going to be it. I kind of did a lot. I got all my mechs out, I got all of my enlistments done, and I got all my upgrades done, which helped with this card. So of course that helped, and just be the fact that I was able to get a bunch of workers to produce a ton at the beginning of the game. So anyway, that's the first part of the Rise of Fenris, part 1, called I didn't remember. So we'll move on to part 2 for the next episode. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye bye.